Once a season, the community elects to try something a little unusual, though not completely foreign to F1 teams. Across the pond, a form of racing took hold a little bit stronger than it did in Europe, and by the 60s, Chapman took notice and started taking his Lotus team over to Indianapolis to compete in the realm of oval racing. While we're a bit farther north at a different circuit, today we give a nod to that period as we get ready to watch Round 9 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Michigan International Speedway is a rare occurrence of a two-miler. It's fast, it's wide, and it's challenging. Let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Welcome to the Michigan International Speedway. This 2-mile D-shaped oval located in the beautiful Irish hills of southern Michigan, sitting about an hour and a half's drive to the southwest of Detroit along I-94, right in the backyard of Chevrolet and Ford. When you're that close to Detroit Power, your speedway better live up to the hype. 18-degree banked corners with a 12-degree banked front stretch allow for maximum power and lots of action. The higher downforce Indy cars were able to put on spectacular shows of driver bravery and talent. In recent years, it's played host to mostly the tin top cars, as the NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Gander Truck, and even ARCA Series have all hosted events here in the last decade. Michigan is a wide, sweeping oval, but it isn't harmless. The lowest groove of the corners near the bottom can be your very best friend in the IndyCar, but your worst enemy in the tin tops. Cars will frequently get loose that far down the track, causing chaos for the pack behind. Michigan is all about speed and lots of it. Often the drivers that find the most success here are the ones willing to experiment around the track and find grip their competitors haven't. The facility in recent years has doubled down on fan comfort as well, giving more elbow room, redoing seats, camping areas, even providing Wi-Fi to watch all of these live broadcasts in the grandstands of all the sections. All in all, Michigan has become a staple of American motorsports since it opened in 1968. Fans and drivers both always look forward to when the schedules come back to the beautiful Irish hills of southern Michigan. Fast speeds, high action, it's all here at Michigan International Speedway, where it's your speed.
Well, Christian, Auto Club kind of came in and stole the thunder a little bit, but Michigan is the original when it comes to this style of track.
Yeah, very, very fast 2-mile track, 18 degrees of banking in the turns. Obviously, the 49 with no downforce, it can't take the turns flat, but, speeds are still pretty high. It's not quite as high as we saw last week with the combined layout of Monza, but we should see a very, very similar style of racing, a lot of drafting, a lot of swap in the pack. And I really don't expect that we're going to see anyone kind of break away here today, just because it's going to be so difficult. You can gain a little bit in the corners, but it's going to be all stripped back away as soon as you get onto the straightaway.
No doubt about that. And for this race, because it is an oval race, we're going to go to the championship here. And you've got Topi Kortaniemi still leading things, but only by a single point over Brandon Hawken right now. And 44 points there back to Sebastian Tixier. So you can see it's very much spread apart to everybody else, and it is now just down to those two in these last few races. That could, of course, change around mathematically, but it's a lot less likely based on what we've been witnessing. Look at the battle down between 5th to 10th, though. You've basically got about 25 points between 5 cars, so that could all shuffle around in these remaining rounds, no doubt. We also have an F2 championship, and why don't we take a look at that?
Well, over in the F2 championship, David Rossi still leads by 19 points over Michael Grissinger. Don Peak has moved into 3rd. He's 31 off the lead, with Marcus Seifer 50 back, with a 5-point lead over Robert Oberetta in 5th. But in the F2 championship, it is really quite difficult to gain any points because the margins are so tight. That said, Rossi and Grissinger both scored only 2 and 0 points last time out, so that's why Don Peak has gained considerably.
Up to the top 3, and he seems to be doing pretty good in this style of racing, so we'll see how he fares on that. Meanwhile, over in the Nations Cup, Finland still starting to pull away from Canada with the good results lately for Topi. And then you've got Spain and the United States separated by a little less than 20 points themselves. If you go down to 6th on back, you've got things starting to tighten up. United Kingdom and Australia in a tight little fight. They're only 8 points separating them. And as I mentioned before, we have a few race details. Christian, why don't you walk us through what they're up against here?
Yeah, so in the 49 community, they request no cautions when they run oval rounds, so this will be an entirely green flag run of 51 laps, round 9 of 12, so we are 3/4 of the way through this season as well. Open setups, as always, in the 49, no spare car today, so they are going to have to be very, very careful when making passes. The 49 on ovals has a tendency to kind of drift away from the line that you want to be on, so you do have to leave a little bit more space. There is drive-through penalty at 17 X's and a disqualification at 25, but I strongly suspect that we are not going to see anyone reach those numbers today, because if you do, the car will be absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, no doubt. And they don't usually have small accidents on the oval in these cars. That is for sure. I'm even watching Xavier Sanchez right now in his first flyer, and he's up to 190 plus on the backstretch heading into the first corner. He is absolutely flying out there. Brandon Hawken, though, has the pole. Topi Cortinimi only good enough for 6. Is this the weak point that Brandon needs to try and capitalize on? Sanchez only up to 3rd himself, usually very much a front runner in this series, so that's going to be interesting to watch. But Christian, I know by word of mouth that we are going to have a few drivers taking the Talladega strategy of starting from pit lane as well.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like that's a bit of a strange strategy to take in a race where there's no cautions. Obviously, it is a safe play, and you're really banking on a lot of accidents up ahead of you, which, you know, we have seen happen in oval races in the past here. I know there's been a bit of a story about somebody who started in the 20s earlier in the week, and they actually finished inside the top 10. So, yeah, it's a good strategy, I think, if you don't want to fight at the front, but I don't think it's a race-winning strategy.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Absolutely. Sanchez's second lap, good enough up to 8th. So it looks like the second lap maybe is the money lap around here to try and get those tires up to temperature. But let's go through our starting order. And this is top split, mind you. So we do have a lot more cars racing the second race right now. Brandon Hawken is going to be on the pole with Sebastian Tixier starting second. Shunsuke Tashima starts from 3rd with Laust Olsen in P4. Togo Hisada will be 5th. He's usually very good on the ovals. Topi Cortinemi, our championship leader, down in 6th today. Mick Claridge returns. Shockingly, he hasn't won here in the broadcast races. So he'll start from 7th. Sanchez will be P8, and John Olsen 9th. Top 10, rounded out by Javier Mascara.
Then moving into P11, we got Lars Vatzik lining up alongside Ben Lafter. Christian Arabas, one of his best qualifying performances this season so far. He's in 13th with Seamus Power alongside him in 14th. Then we've got Carl Ridley in 15th, and Ove Trengerade really far back here today, row 8, 16th spot with Michael de Turk. We've seen him make some great climbs through the field as well. He's back in 17th alongside Robert Plumley 18th. Robert Oberetta and Ryan Turcotte round out the top 20.
And 21st, Cam Porter will start with Anthony Obrota in 22nd. Then on the next row, it's Will Lamb alongside Bless Lopez. And then rounding out your 26 car field, it is going to be Robert Reynolds and Jack Spickett. All right, so looks like with a rather warm track here today, it's going to be its own unique challenge and also a very slippery challenge out there. But Brandon Hawken, I believe, said he was fairly decent on these ovals. So will that help him be able to pull one over on Topi Cortinemi, or will he find guys like Togo Hisada, who's won over at Indianapolis previously, be able to take another victory and add to his tally here today? And we'll get a single pace lap, and then we'll be on our way. You actually raced professionally, as we see the onboard here with Laust Olsen for our cams, and we've also got Tim and Cam Porter along with Sebastian Tixier, who we're going to take a glance at. But Christian, racing at the level that you did on oval racing, what advice would you be giving these guys?
Well, we kind of saw a little bit of it last week when it was all about positioning towards the last phase of the race. Brandon Hawkin, I think, actually put himself in the best position last week. Just the mistake cost him the chance at the win. It's going to be the same here again today. Obviously, very, very similar style of racing and drafting as we saw on the big Monza Oval. And I would definitely say that you don't want to get shuffled back in the pack. One thing I've noticed with the 49 in the couple of oval races I've done with it is that you really do want to try and stay at the front. You don't have to be in the lead, but it is actually quite difficult to make passes, so you do want to be in that lead group. You definitely don't want to get split off from the lead pack, because as we saw last week, once the lead pack gets away, they will just continue to draft off each other and pull away. So the start is quite critical. You've got to be fairly aggressive, but you've still got to be sensible. What you don't want to do is put the field 3 or 4 wide and then actually create a big stack up and lose the leaders early on. And
the field is certainly going to have their work cut out for them. I'm looking at the iRatings here today. There's a couple in the 3,000s, a few 2,000s, and then there's Brandon Hawkin, 6,000 iRating on ovals. I'd say he's got some experience. There goes the pace car, waiting for the green flag, and Brandon is on it a little bit early here. He gets a good jump over Sebastian Tixier. Tashima's not able to get into second across him. Laust Olsen hanging high as they come up to enter into turn 1. Hisada still holds on to 5th, and it's Claridge, and Cortiniemi falls down to 7th at the start here, but it looks like it is pretty calm.
Yeah, and Hawkins actually out to a pretty big jump right now over Tixier. Tixier's under threat from Tashima.
Yeah, I got a 4-car pack there from 2nd down to 5th, it appears. In fact, they're gathering up a couple more. Looks like Claridge and Cortiniemi is starting to gather them up as they come off of turn 4. We got through the first lap without any incidents. That's a good sign. Let's see if they can keep that up for 50 more.
Yeah, perfect start by Hawkin, really, and he's got the best possible scenario happening right behind him. It's exactly what I was saying they needed not to do, which is to have a fight go 2 and 3 wide, and it's really costing them. Hawkin's actually almost out of draft range.
Wow. Well, that's certainly going to make life tough for everybody else. Tixier down to the inside of Tashima right now. Mostly single file behind them. I think they're trying to do what these two are not. Almost up to the wall, though, for Tashima, as he was really flirting with that outside.
Yeah, and it's stacking up everyone behind. You see Laust Olsen, Sada, Mick Claridge, everyone in this group. A couple of drivers actually trying to go to the top side, trying to get that run off corner exit.
And for our viewers that aren't as familiar with the oval racing, I mean, riding the outside on road racing, not usually a viable strategy. Oval usually has a completely different, I don't want to say set of physics, but the way it all works. So, I mean, do you think the outside line is feasible today?
I don't think it's really feasible as a running lane, but it's certainly feasible as a passing lane. And the thing that we're seeing at the moment is nobody's really using that very, very bottom lane, and that's pretty common for Michigan.
Sada trying to take a look at it now, and he gets up to 4th. We got 3 lanes going for a brief while with Laust Olsen up on the very high side. He's side by side with Togo Hisada. We ride on board with him. Looks like Tixier and Hisada going to go wheel to wheel once again. Tashima starting to break away from them. Can he run down Hawkin, who is about a second up the road?
I think he's just about within touch, but it's really tight just behind him here. Both Seb and Togo are really kind of checking themselves up, and they've still got that big pack built up behind them.
Going to take a look off board now of Laust Olsen. And once again, trying to work that high side. Hisada now ducking back low, cuts underneath, using the over-under, but doesn't give him the exit that he needs. Topi Cortiniemi now into the top 5 as well. So, remember, he needs to try to limit the damage to Hawkin, either that or actually beat him out there. Good luck on that, though.
Yeah, and I mean, Topi has been the standard in the series for the entire season so far, I think it's fair to say, but obviously, it's an oval, and it is a different deal. I still expect him to be fast, and he's making it actually work down here. He's going to try and slice up the track. Nothing going right now, though. Tixier's
throttle input's going to be a little bit more simple today compared to other races. but definitely a lot more subtle. As you can see, he's got our pedal cam and our steering cam in there. Even got the inputs at the bottom, telemetry being fed to us. Love what he has done with this one. And a little bit behind him up to the high side, Mick Claridge trying to check in briefly here and see if he can snag another win way close to the outside wall for Tixier.
Yeah, and that's really the danger with the 49, especially on ovals. As you're coming out of the corner, you're kind of just sort of predicting where the car's going to stop sliding up the track, and if you get it a little bit wrong, you have to really, really jump out of the throttle, lose all your momentum, and obviously that made the pass fairly easy there for Courtenay.
Certainly seems like it. And back behind them, they still got battling between Olsen, Hesada, and Claridge as they head into 3 and 4 once again. Claridge, I suspect, because of his time around as he has a slide coming off the turn, is maybe biding his time, waiting for the right chance to really get up to the front of this group. Tashima, by the way, is catching on Hawken. He's got it down to 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, and that's really important actually for everyone in this line, because Tsushima being pulled up to Hawken is in turn going to pull Courtenay with him, and you can see the gap's coming down, albeit slowly, but it is coming down. Courtenay's gone from 1.4 to about 1.2 seconds back.
Not seeing a whole lot of big movers in this race. Right now, the hardest charger is Robert Plumley in 12th. He's up 6 there in the mid-pack. And in his own little fight, it looks like he's actually just behind Zvatzig in that 25. And he's also got Seamus Power side by side in front of him. Laughter to the outside.
Yeah, and this group's got to be a little bit careful here, because they are kind of just about on the cusp of being dropped from the trio that's ahead of them.
Great exit there from Ben Laughter, but also for Plumley. But Plumley is going to get boxed in with nowhere to go. He's going to have to lift on the entry into turn 3. Behind them, that is Seamus Power and Ove Trangrade. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Laughter has to get out of it.
Got a great save. That's a really, really tricky situation to be in the 49. But that's kind of where I think people in this group had seen that they were losing time, and they were having to get a little bit more aggressive with their moves. At the moment, it looks like if you can stay within about 1 second of the car ahead of you, if you are the same pace or maybe a tiny bit faster, you're going to be able to close it down. You see someone cutting way down to the apron there on the backstretch.
And someone is slow. Oh, we've had a wreck with John Olsen. Our first incident, and it was a single car incident, mercifully, but John Olsen probably not happy about that. Watch this off the corner. Just pegs the wall, and he knew immediately the car was not drivable, pulled it down to the bottom and out of the way.
Yeah, and that's a pretty typical thing to have happen at Michigan, coming off of 2. It's tighter coming off of 2 than it is off of 4, and the wall just really, really sneaks up on you. It gets everybody, no matter whether it's a stock car or an open wheeler, it seems.
Indeed, and speaking of open wheelers racing here, they did race up into the 2000s in IndyCar at this track. The speeds were absolutely terrifying and made for some exciting racing, but I can understand why they haven't been back in a while. But watching them head across the line, we're already up to lap 12 now, and they have fully caught back up to Hawken. It's down to 0.3 of a second. And Tashima is pulling along Courtenay, who has made his way into the podium positions.
Yeah, and Laust is just a little bit further back. He's 0.6 back. He's kind of bringing Tixier with him. They're still in a pretty tight fight. I'm a bit surprised that Seb's looked not... I don't want to say he's looked slow. He just hasn't looked as aggressive as the drivers around him, and that's why he slipped back a little bit.
Absolutely. And, well, he is sitting 3rd in the points, so I wonder if he's just trying to survive this race and collect whatever he can to retain that 3rd position. He's got a ways to make up to Topi and Brandon, so this just might be a survival mode for him.
Could be, but he's got Xavier Sanchez there with him, and we know how good Sanchez is on ovals. I wouldn't at all be surprised to see Sanchez fighting for the win at the end of this.
Yeah, Xavier up 2 spots from where he started, now up into 6. That said, He's about almost 2 seconds behind Brandon Hawken. He's got to go by a lot of cars and make up a bit of time here. In fact, he's already on the attack of Sebastian Tixier. And I think he's going to bring along Togo Hisada, who is following along in his slipstream.
Yeah, and Hisada's another driver that we've seen is competitive on ovals. I mean, to be honest, at this point, we've got such strong top 5, top 10 contenders in the 49 series that, you know, you really can't count them out, especially when we go to an oval round or you know, honestly, most road courses. We've kind of had an interesting season where Courtenay and Hawken have both been exceptionally strong, but it's really got some depth of field to it now in the 49. You know, it's hard to run in the top 10 in this series.
Absolutely is. It's definitely nothing like I remember when I was racing it in the first year, where we'd have a strength of field of 9 cars. And here today, we have a split with 26 just alone in the top split. And coming through 1 and 2, Hawken now sees 3 cars close in his mirrors. Tashima, Courtenay, Olsen has caught them. They're starting to break away from Tixier, and I think Hisada knows it. He's been hurriedly trying to overtake the Club Asia driver on the bottom side, and I think he might have it there in the background now.
Yeah, and he's right on that sort of boundary that I was talking about, being about a second behind. And whilst we've been taking a look at this, there is an extremely tight battle going on for about 9th through to 17th position right now. We've had 2 and 3 wide in this group. It's going to be 3 wide again into turn 1 here.
Oof, yeah, this and then back around 18th on down has been wild. In fact, drifting up once again into poor Ben Laughter, who has had more excitement than I think he cares for today. Just about got clobbered by, I think it was Robert Plumley for a brief moment. Plumley falls back as he goes 3 wide. That's to Turk to his outside, Vatzig down to his bottom. And they got to be careful. It can so easily go wrong in this group.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see there Plumley trying to just shoot the gap through the middle. He's made it work.
Coming down through 1 and 2 once again. This is all for 9th place. Seamus Power has the top spot amongst this group. Riding off the high line, Ben Laughter really doing a good job carrying that momentum. And in fact, he catches right back up to Power, gets down to the inside. He might be at the front of this pack by the time they hit turn 3, and indeed he is. Plumley's going to try and follow him through. But man, you said the high side may not be a running line, but like you said, passing line, it looks mighty powerful.
Yeah, it really is. You just get that great run off the corner, and especially if you kind of get aggressive with pinching down to the bottom line, you can really, really hurt their drive off. But you see there, Ben Laughter, he's had to go all the way down to that very low lane, and it's always tricky to get drive off out of that one. And you see Power able to just shoot through the middle. Laughter having to actually check up on exit. He slowed himself and Plumley down. Yeah,
it seems like a bit of a chain reaction. You got to pick your cards right and who you ride behind. Ove Trangrade also falling victim to that. Ove usually is pretty good on the ovals. A bit surprised to see him as far down as he sits. Everybody sliding up off of turn 4, just about getting single file for the first time in many laps.
Yeah, and this is going to be full line actually going into turn 1.
Wow, that was a brave move from Robert Plumley, shooting up through there. Oh, and once again drifting up high. This time Michael de Turk. Once again, Ben Laughter really has figured out that upper line, but it certainly has put him at risk as other drivers are trying to extend off of there. Meanwhile, as we look at Olsen, 3 wide for a brief moment with Courtenay and Tashima, they're still working hard to catch up to Hawken, but now that they've got to him, are they going to throw it away?
I did see at one point that the gap at the front was down to 1/10 of a second, and then Tashima fell back to 4th. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but obviously it's allowed Laust, Olsen, and Topi Courtenay through. And, you know, we talked about Laust as being a regular top 10 contender, but I do recall a race with him at Motegi Oval where I thought he was very, very strong on the oval. So I'm not too surprised to see that he's in contention with a win today, but it's possibly going to be one of his best chances at a win in the 49 series.
Indeed. In fact, I'll need to check his stats to see. I'm pretty sure he's taken at least one out there here in the 49s. But we saw there as we were riding on board, racing with the Raccoon Racing Team's Topi Kortaniemi. They're usually known for being a powerhouse on the roadside, but it seems like they are not too shabby on the circle tracks, but this has really hurt them. They're now 0.5 of a second behind Brandon Hawken. They got to kind of cut out this messing around, I think.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame because all the work to catch back up has really been undone by having the fight.
Yeah, trying to see if I can dig up winners' numbers here of our drivers, but thankfully we have a very handily put together record sheet that helps us out on that end. A big thank you once again to Matt Wright for helping us out with that. Look at them now start to snake down the backstretch. That is really looking like an oval race right there.
Yeah, it's some kind of standard draft breaking tactics happening. It's not quite halfway yet, so I'm a little bit surprised to see it so early. And whilst this kind of tactical battles have been going on, the melee, I think it's fair to say, for 9th place has continued. We've had all sorts of contact, but nobody has ended up in the fence yet somehow.
Oh, and I am not seeing Laust Olsen on our sheet, so I guess he has not won a Lotus 49 race on the broadcast races yet. So this is, like you said, a very good chance for him. Up in second, but not for long. There goes Topi Kortaniemi underneath into turn 3. Tashima up on his high side, going to try and get the shot off the corner. We've already seen him get very close to the outside a couple times, but this time he gives it a wide berth.
Yeah, and whilst we were taking a look at that, Kyle Ridley was unfortunately the first driver to fall victim. He got into the outside wall in turn 1 and 2, and that's probably going to be the end of his day.
Yeah, John Olsen, who we saw get into the wall earlier, is back out on the track, but 4 laps down, so he was able to repair it. But Ridley is kind of trundling along at the bottom of the track, staying out of everybody's way to hit pit lane himself. 17 of Laust Olsen. Ooh, that was a bit of a wide run for Tashima, not on the exit of the corner, but the entry, and thankfully I don't think he got the wall.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Tashima's going backwards because he was the driver who really kept this pack connected and ran Hawken down. So I'm not sure what's happened in the kind of middle of the race here, but he's falling out of where he needs to be at the end. We've seen the passing is tough. It's doable, but it's tough, and you really don't want to be towards the back end of the pack like he's now ending up.
Well, and the nice thing is, because I was kind of curious when you said he was falling back, I checked the temperatures, see if maybe things were heating up and he abused his stuff. It's actually gone down. It's 93 Fahrenheit on the track because it's been so cloudy today.
Yeah, and that's going to help him out a bit. And honestly, that's probably what's responsible for a lot of the great side-by-side that we're getting here, just because they're a little bit less grip limited and they've got a little bit more capability to run alternate lines and stay connected.
Yeah, that was Michael the Turk. I saw the same thing you did. Cars getting very close into turn 3. Another 3-wide, almost 4-wide situation briefly in this second pack, and having to drop back in the middle of it. That looks like Seamus Power. And once again, it's Ben Laughter towards the front of it. He's underneath Lars Vatzig. Wow, monster run now, though, underneath both of them. That's going to be Ove Trangrade really inserting himself into the equation. He gets by both, but he's still at the bottom, and another bit of contact once again with Ben Laughter.
We have had so many touched wheels in this pack, and yet we haven't had a mighty incident yet, and I have honestly no idea how.
I feel like it's a matter of time. We're only halfway through this race. And yeah, man, look at how close pinching down. I think that was Power on Ove Trangrade there, as Laughter still isn't scared off by all the close moments that he has had. Tries to get the shot, but he's again boxed in, can't go anywhere with it up at the front. Power able to really shoot into the corner himself, and backing out in that 3-wide situation was Michael the Turk.
Yeah, and whilst this has been happening, Topi Kortaniemi has gotten within 2/10 of Brandon Hawkins, so he's dragged everyone in that pack back up into the lead fight.
Down into turn 1 once again. using that chop down on the high side. Lars Vatzig can't quite get to the bottom. Seamus Power there as we take a look at the front pack. A little bit of side-by-side between Olsen and Tashima. Make that 3 wide. Here comes Hisata as well.
Yeah, Tashima still at the tail end of that pack as we go back to the 9th place fight, which is still 3 wide because, of course, it is.
They've been managing that well. Oh, and there it is. There it is. And, of course, it's Ben Laughter. He gets another one. I'm trying to see who else that was. Looks like, I think, Seamus Power and Javier Mascara. Oh, no. He gets absolutely plowed into and sent into the sky. And that was by Cam Porter.
Yeah, and it just was one of those wheel touches that finally linked them together, and the chain reaction started. Somebody was very, very unfortunate in that. I'm not actually sure which driver it was, but they were essentially through the wreck, and then they got hit. You'll see it here. Yeah, launches the entire rear axle off the ground. And that was the end of the day for, I believe that was the 8 car, Seamus Power.
That was Power, yeah. And then poor Mascara kind of got collected in it. If you watch the 2 here, let's stay. Oh, okay. We're not going to see him go helicoptering into the sky, but he is absolutely done with it. Just was obliterated by poor Cam Porter. Just had nowhere to go to try and avoid the accident happening. Thankfully, Top Group has not seen the same sort of dramas, although they are still getting plenty of action of their own. Hawken has been recaught, and they have a lot of cars involved now. It is 6, almost 7. Yeah, it is 7. Tixier's with them.
Yeah, Tixier has been able to hold on just about to this pack. One driver who hasn't, Mick Claridge, he dropped to about 5 seconds behind, and now he's actually joined into that second pack. I think he's gone to the second pack out of choice rather than something losing him 10 seconds on track, but he definitely lost connection to the lead group and was kind of out there in no man's land for a while.
Well, one that I think is probably a little bit disappointed is 8th place Mick Claridge. He's in that second group. He typically runs fairly well on these ovals, even though it's not his usual realm. He holds his own, but he's lost touch with them by about 15 seconds, so it's not looking likely he's going to be able to run them down.
No, I really don't think there's any chance. He's essentially a half a lap behind thereabouts right now, but he is in that battle, and he's made that battle for 9th now, a battle for 8th place. So added 1 car back after we lost 3, so I imagine that's still going to be pretty wild.
It's been interesting. I've noticed Hisata on the radio a couple times now, and I'm pretty certain he's been talking in his native tongue. I think because he's got Tashima, who is another Club Japan driver out there. So I wonder if there's a little bit of subtle communication, because I don't know how many drivers in this front group know Japanese well, and maybe they could hook up and try to use a little Japanese power to see if they can fight for the win.
Yeah, I think that would be, more relevant perhaps if we're in a stock car where you could actually get a group together and push. Don't think anyone really wants to try bump drafting in the Lotus 49, but you can still do a little bit of working together. You can certainly do some positioning tricks. As you see there, Hawken, he's trying to actually keep everyone side by side behind him so that it checks them up in the corner, and so he's not vulnerable on the next straightaway. So there are still things that you can do as he's showing there, but certainly a bit more limited than we're used to in, say, the stock cars.
Indeed, and I mentioned it earlier in this broadcast, 6,000 iRating. That's according to your oval license here on iRacing now when you run oval tracks and official racing. So he is far and above the number 1 out there on this type of track. So certainly knows what he's doing and seems to have some tricks up his sleeves. Kortenemi running second. And it'll be the first time I think Brandon will have beat him since I think it was round 3. Yeah, took the victory at Barber, and he had some help on that because Topi had the wreck right on lap 1 at that race.
Yeah, he definitely does need to win this race. We talked about it a little bit at Monza last week, where the opportunity to gain some points back on Topi kind of went away from him, literally on that run into Ascari chicane, but There is obviously still only a 1 point gap for them, so he's not out of it by any means. He's got a good chance today to get some points back, but I got to feel that he's going to need a little bit of a buffer if he wants to withstand Topi when we get back to the road courses, because we've got some tracks where Topi is undoubtedly going to be strong. We've got Silverstone, Catalonia, and Spa to round out the season, and I don't think there's any reason we should expect Topi to not kind of be the field standard at those tracks.
Håkan going for his first ever championship in the Grand Prix Legends Series, whereas Topi has won, but he's going to join a very elite group of, I believe, only the 4th ever driver to get multiple championships in the Grand Prix Legends Series. As here we go, Sanchez, he's mentioned that he has quite a bit of skill here on the circle tracks. He was going for the lead, couldn't quite take it away. I think Håkan has led every lap thus far.
Yeah, but he's got a great run here. He's definitely going for the move into 3, and I see no reason why he won't be able to pull this off.
So Sanchez down to the inside behind them. It was a huge run from Korteniemi, but had to hit the brakes behind Laust Olsen. Otherwise, he might have been able to get involved in this. High side's been strong on corner exit. It's strong once again.
Yeah, and where that went away with Sanchez, he just had the left sides on that seam for that bottom lane that we've not seen anybody use, and it just absolutely killed his corner exit drive. He needed to be just a tiny bit higher. He's trying to get in turn 1, but I just think that bottom lane is really not where you want to be, and that's what hurt him there.
We need a replay on the 18 car. Last lap, he had a full 360 spin and managed to hold on to it. He's still running. He's on his own, unfortunately, now. He lost touch with the group. But what a recovery from him to keep from falling out of this race prematurely. Let's see if we've got this replay. Just everybody checked up in front of him, got tipped from behind. I'm not sure who that was, but he is probably grateful for all the paved runoff on the bottom. He used it to good effect and just keeps it rolling.
Yeah, I got a little bit lucky with that one, I think, but good to see him still in the race, but unfortunately out of that pack that he was in.
Sanchez on Håkan once again, down to the inside. Is this a case of him needing to try and take that outside line away to really make an effective pass?
I think if he just does what he did there, where he was a little bit higher up the racetrack coming out of 4, able to maintain the drive, it should now be a bit easier for him. But we talked about turn 2, it tightens up. It's really difficult if you're on the bottom, and he's going to have to give it up again, I think.
Yeah, just not really working right now. He's got to be careful, too. I got to think that someone could maybe time a run really well with the two of them racing side by side and just blast past both of them on the straights. We'll see what Laust Olsen can do from 3rd there, but also Korteniemi's back and 4th. This time off the corner, a lot better from Sanchez.
Yeah, it looked like Håkan was actually a little bit too high on the top. He has regained momentum at the very end, but not quite enough. Laust thought about going in between the two of them, and that's kind of what you were talking about, where that's a move that can come out of nowhere just because the front pair are fighting so hard. But Sanchez back to single file. He's going to go to the bottom again. Why not? There's 10 to go. You got to try and figure out how to make this pass work.
Oval racing, definitely a thinking man's game here. It's such a unique science compared to everything else. Olsen still running in that 3rd spot, now trying to get 2nd away because Sanchez has finally overtaken Håkan for the lead. And it looks like Håkan has company with his championship rival, trying to make it 3 wide for 2nd.
Yeah, and Håkan's had to go very deep into 1 and 2 there. Topi actually backed out of it. Håkan's been able to make that work much better than I was expecting. He's actually hung on to the outside of Sanchez. He's going to have the run on the top into turn 3.
Looks like we're getting the 4 break away a little bit. They've got some lap traffic. That's going to force them to at least 2 wide for a while. Up on the outside, Seamus Power just trying to get out and log some laps, probably get some of that safety rating back. Big wiggle there off the corner coming from Tashima as he had to stay out of it to keep from hitting the lapped car.
Yeah, Sanchez now trying to get to the top of the track. Håkan driving it very deep in 1 and 2 has actually been able to make that work quite well. He's going to be almost clear as he gets into 3 this time, and we're keeping an eye on Hisada and Tashima, and they're kind of just hanging out at the back of this pack, but they're running out of laps to get something done.
Well, I mean, there's your answer. It looks like Hisada is now having a go at things on the inside of Courtiniemi, seeing if he can make a move. They lapped John Olsen as well towards the bottom there, putting him behind them for the time being. Sanchez back on the horse and going to try and take that top spot away from Hawken once again. We're coming down to it now, and we are less than 10 laps to go.
Yeah, so I think that the play here is that you want to have the top in 1 and 2, and then you want the bottom in 3 and 4, and that's exactly how Sanchez has made that run work, and he's almost clear into 3 here. Hawkins going to get trapped up there because Laus is now in on the bottom, but Sanchez kind of really needs to slide up, but he's just being a bit too nice about it. Slides up at the very end, but it's too late. You know, you've lost the advantage that you would have had by arcing it out.
Oh, they're racing so much closer now, nearly coming together with contact. This could all go sour at the very end as well. Remember, they are not safe until that checkered flag, so they've got to watch out. Yes, they need to race harder to try and use whatever edge they can to take the victory, but the margins are going to be minuscule.
What a run, though, from Hisada on the top there in the 1. It just came out of nowhere. We were so focused on Sanchez and Hawken having this battle, and we talked about how Hisada and Tashima had just been kind of hanging out doing nothing, and all of a sudden Hisada comes from the back, goes around the outside of both of them, is being swallowed up now on the front stretch on the following lap, but that was a great move on the top.
I got to think he was maybe practicing a move, because if he can pull that at the end, I mean, what answer do they have to a move like that?
Well, I think it would all just come down to that run that we just saw off of 4 where he did get swallowed up, but unfortunately for Laus Olsen, he's the one now been cycled to the back of the train. Hawkins got the bottom back into 3.
So Hawken up to the top spot. Sanchez in second. Olsen going to take second away on the bottom side, but will he be able to hold on to it on the corner exit, as it seems like the top has been the place to be. And now it is Tashima who is on that top side, but he gets balked by, it looks like Courtiniemi there.
Yeah, Courtiniemi is kind of trapped a little bit on the bottom of this group. Hisada now shuffled back to the 6th spot after briefly being in the race lead. I do think that Hawken on balance looks like the strongest car out here, but you know, he's absolutely still vulnerable. Laus thought about going to the middle. Don't think he realized that Sanchez was underneath him.
Gotta listen to that spotter here. And Sanchez going to be able to get back to P2. Coming down to 5 laps to go now. Across the line, Sanchez going to try and take that high side away from Brandon Hawken behind them. Laus Olsen still hovering in 3rd, where he's been in much of the race. Courtiniemi also in 4th. Could he have something tricky to pull on the last lap? Tashima and Hisada also have pulled some moments of brilliance out of these late stages. Have they gone back into hiding just briefly?
Yeah, you see Hawken there again, kind of managing the 2 lines that were built behind him. It's given him a little bit of space. There's a lap car ahead of him, which is actually great news for him. It's going to make him not vulnerable down this front stretch.
So they fly across the line. Back row Bob is in front of them. Let's see how he is on ovals, trying to stay out of the way of the leaders. Hawken going to be the first to reach him. He's trying to stay low. Nicely done amongst that group, but they're spreading out for the first time in a while.
Yeah, and I think Hawken's been able to kind of extend a little bit of an advantage, but Laus is back. He's not able to make a move into 3. He's actually taken this quite aggressively sharp entry. I think with the hope of getting a run off. It's not worked out particularly great off of 4, but it might work in a turn 1.
So 2 laps to go. I get the sense that Olsen is just trying to time a run, figure out how far back he needs to be to shoot past and see if he can take that lead into the final corner. Let's see if he tries it again here. Is he just kind of setting him up, and is he going to lift? Yes, he does. Yeah, he wants to be in that position.
Yeah, but he's got to be careful though, because behind him you see, I think that's Asada on the bottom, almost getting crowded out there. He's been forced into that very, very low lane, and this group behind is potentially losing the opportunity to have a run at it.
White flag is out, and it is still up for grabs. Here comes Topi Kortinemi. Blocking the high side. Hawken knows that he has to cover that off to keep him from utilizing that momentum, and it does hold back Topi. Meanwhile, Olsen is now into second, trying to do what he did in the last 3 laps. Does he have enough? Hawken down to the inside. And here comes Kortinemi. There goes Laust all the way down to the bottom, coming into the final corner. He gets up in front of him. He can't quite slide in front of him. Hawken going to be able to use the momentum. Kortinemi has no place to go. He gets into the back of Olsen, and Hawken is going to win here at Michigan. Close across the line for second place, but Hisada barely eked out Tashima by 2 thousandths of a second. Sanchez wound up in 4th, and my goodness, it is basically 0.2 of a second between 5th and 6th in this race.
Yeah, and you saw there, Topi was trying so hard to get that second spot. He actually cost himself a lot because he was pushing Laust and then had to check up.
Oh, Will Lamb, unfortunately, he might cross the line on his lid. He is skittering on the roll hoop of the car, and I think he's going to come up short. Oh, no. He was fighting for a top 10 there and just doesn't reach the finish line. Looks like I think Michael DeTurk's going to be our last one to take the checkered flag. Here is the replay of that incident with Lamb.
Yeah, you see Lamb on the top side. He's just going to get in the wall all by himself. Kind of rides the wall just a little bit, but gets unlucky at the end, ends up flipping over, and yeah, unfortunate that he couldn't slide literally to the finish line on his head there, but I don't think it's actually cost him too much because there was only 16 on the lead lap.
So let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. This Formula One flair on the oval side gave us a lot of excitement, and Brandon Hawken wound up the winner. He was the favorite coming in, but he had some challenges. Togo Hisada, who is also a known hot shoe on ovals, managed to get up to second right at the end to beat his countryman by 0.02 of a second. Tashima challenging him at the line, but maybe they waited a little too long to hope to go for the win. Xavier Sanchez wound up in fourth, with Topi Kortenemi also trying to insert himself, but didn't quite seem to have the chops there at the finish and had to settle for just a top 5. Laust Olsen just about got a move on Brandon Hawken, but couldn't slide up the track to beat him in the final corner and fell down to 6th because of it. Tixier, we didn't cover this, but he did clip the wall, and he fell down to 7th by the end of the race. McClarridge only in 8th place today. Unfortunately, he was ahead of Ove Trangerade, who gained 7 spots himself for 9th, and Lars Vatzig was 10th.
And in 11th, Robert Plumley with Christian Arabes maintained that good qualifying to finish 12th behind him. Ryan Turcotte in 13th, with a gain of +7, one of the big movers today, with Jack David Spickett, another big move. It's 26th to 14th. Robert Abreu and Anthony Abreu rounded out the 15th and 16th in the last cars on the lead lap, with Michael de Turk unfortunately finishing one lap down in 17th. Will Lamb, we saw him not making it to the finish on his lid, so he's one lap down in 18th as well, with back row Bob Robert Reynolds in 19th and Seamus Power in 20th.
Les Lopez got back out on track, so did John Olsen and Ben Lafter, managing to finish the race, but multiple laps down from there. It was DNF's Ridley, Mascara, and Porter, sadly, who got into some pretty big accidents. But Brandon Hawken finally gets his first win over Topi Kortenemi since round 3, and it was a much-needed points boost. But Brandon, did you feel any pressure coming in as the favorite? You had 2,500 I rating over the next nearest driver.
Yeah, yeah. You always feel a ton of pressure, especially on a really draft-heavy track. And I knew I was quick, but it wasn't quick enough to separate from everybody. Everybody did a great job holding on there, and it was just trying to just a matter of driving in my mirror, trying to get everybody to do what I wanted them to do with my draft. And that was really stressful 50-something laps there. It was you're looking in the mirror more than you're looking in the front, just trying to control the lanes. And last 10 or so laps, everybody started really piling on the pressure, and nobody was staying in line after that. So it was just a huge game of defense there. And it was just doing all I could to maybe keep them side by side behind me. And last few laps there, I was we started going side by side, and I knew if I held the outside, it was going to be really tough for them to make a pass on the inside. So tried my best to stay in the lane I wanted, and it got really nuts there at the end. Had a few attempts there. Laus got on my dove to the inside in the last corner, and I was just hoping there wouldn't be a run from third place behind to get both of us. And fortunately, they made just a little bit of contact, and I was able to hold the lead coming to the line. But man, that was really tough. Everybody, they were hungry. So man, that was a lot of fun. And really clean race.
Well, and we talked a little bit about it last week, that we knew you had the oval experience coming in. What side is it mostly? Is it stock cars? Do you race Indy cars or open wheels, or what did you come in with the main base of knowledge?
Mostly stock cars. Usually it's not quite as drafty and quite as you don't get quite the slingshot, but I guess it kind of came from super speedway racing. It's sort of the same deal. Just doing all I could, learn, did what I learned from doing that stuff, and I was trying to put that to use. It was a little bit different, but it was mostly the same sort of deal. So that was a lot of fun. It was really pressure was on the entire time, but that was so much fun.
Now, we don't know what the drop weeks are in terms of how that will affect things, but without the drop weeks, from what we understand, if you finished second every time, Topi has to win in the remaining races, all of the remaining races, to beat you. Now, that livens this championship up a treat. What are you going to do to try and take the fight to him in those last 3 rounds then?
I think I'm going to have to beat him, and that's going to be a really tough task. Man, I felt like I almost had a good opportunity there last week. I kind of blew that a little bit, but I think I'm getting better, getting more comfortable. I should be in a slightly better position than I was in previous rounds. So hopefully I can capitalize on anything that happens, and hopefully I can get him on speed. But I'm not sure. We'll have to see. He's super quick, and it's gonna be really tough. But I'll try my hardest for sure.
No doubt that you will. Well, congratulations. You survived the Dega style racing and the slide job on top of it. So hopefully we'll get to see you next week at Silverstone.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
That was Brandon Hawken, your winner here at Michigan. And Christian has caught up with his championship rival who didn't even podium today. He was down in 5th.
Yeah, Topi, it looked like you had a little bit of an opportunity, maybe not to get the race win off of 4 there, but to finish in the podium spot 2nd or 3rd. But looked like you just got trapped a little bit behind Laus there, getting off the corner, and unfortunately fell back to 6th. Now, we were talking about the points with Brandon, and if we have the math right, you now have to win the last 3 races to overhaul him in points if he finishes 2nd in every single one of them. How do you think that the probability of that's going to be?
It's 100%.
So, in terms of those tracks coming up, you got Silverstone, Catalonia, and Spa. Now,
sorry.
Thoughts on those? And are you particularly strong at any of them? I mean, we've seen on road courses that you've basically been the qualifying standard throughout the season.
I know I'm fast on Catalonia. Silverstone maybe. I think Spa is gonna be tight, to be honest. And
do you think that this can actually be pulled off? I feel like it can be, but I'm curious to if you have confidence that you can win these last 3.
I know I can do it, but we'll see if it happens.
Well, it'll certainly make it exciting for us in terms of the points, but in terms of today, we've obviously had 2 rounds now, which are kind of a little bit of a wild card in Monza and Michigan. Do you like having these tracks on the schedule, or would you prefer the kind of more the classical road course races?
Yeah, I mean, overall a season, sorry, is nice, but like 2 draft tracks in a row, maybe just don't put them in the first or last race, and not too next to each other, and I think it will be okay. Yeah.
For sure, I can appreciate that, and well, you still obviously finished in the top 5, so congratulations on that today. And before I let you go, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, any of the Raccoon Boys. I know Andy was watching, and if any of the friends who are watching, thanks to them, and yeah.
Well, thank you for coming and chatting with us, and good luck for these last 3 races. I feel like it's going to be pretty exciting for us to watch.
Yeah, it will. Thanks, Kristen.
That was Topi Kortaniemi, who finished 5th here today. Couldn't quite sneak him right at the end. We have one more to talk to on a brief break from his world ride, which unfortunately the executives has ordered us not to talk about. Mick Claridge finished 8th today. Mick, it looked like you got separated from the front group. If it weren't for that separation, do you think you could have fought for the win?
Oh, I don't know about that. The guys were quick, weren't they? But yeah, I had. I don't know if you did any onboards with me. Probably not. I was in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, I had a bit of issue with my final drive. I think I don't know. Maybe the iRacing guys put some smaller back wheels on the car just before the start. But yeah, I was hitting the rev limit about 2/3 down the main straight, so I couldn't keep up with them, and I wasn't faster than them in the corners. No way. Same speed if I was lucky. So yeah, as soon as the gap opened up, that was it. I was just sort of in the middle of nowhere, like I said, and then I just thought, oh, maybe I'll stick it out and see if they wreck in front, and maybe. And then I just thought, what's the point of doing that? So I saw Uwe flash up and a couple of other good names behind me. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll just slow down and have a fight with those. So yeah, it was a good battle in the end.
Yeah, I mean, talk about that, because while the leaders were by no means calm, they had plenty of excitement. Comparing that to what we saw in the mid-pack, we saw 4 wide at one moment.
Oh, what, with us? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Because I'm using a Rift, so it's a nightmare. I mean, you can tell two wide. You can sometimes tell if there's 3 wide, but 4 wide, no way. You can't see that. So yeah, the thing was, I was sort of lucky when I got back there with the guys. If I was out in front, my rear drive, my final drive was perfect, because I didn't need the toe. So I was hammering it down the straights without a draft. But so that was sort of gave me the edge out on my own. But a couple of times the guys got round me, and I thought, oh no, is this going to happen again? Am I going to start banging off the limiter? But luckily I didn't, and I was able to get in front of them again. I don't know if I caused, I think it might have been Michael's wreck. I had to get out the throttle badly because I was heading straight for the wall. I really had to get out the throttle to not hit the wall. Hoover had to back up to not go into me, and I think Michael was behind him. So if that was my fault, sorry to him. But yeah, good last lap. I thought Hoover was going to send it right down there and on the inside, but no, he was as good as always.
Well, I guess the consolation is Michael actually had an impressive 360 spin that we caught on replay. So he did keep going, but yeah, he did get checked up a little bit.
iRacing top 10.
Yeah, we'll have to send that one in. But well, commiserations that it didn't quite go. Will we see you back for Silverstone, or are you back out on the road?
I'm not doing either. I'm not going to tell you why. You know the rules. But no, I can't race till next season if I'm going to race next season. So I don't know yet.
Gotcha.
So all the guys watching the videos out there, just keep watching them, because all the story's going to become clear. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about all of this. But yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know, but definitely not next week or the rest of the season. I'm out. But can I just say hello to one guy? There's one guy that helped me out a lot today. Threw a bucket of water over me as well on the other side of it, and that's Mike Kennedy Diggins's.
All right. Well, big shout out to Mike, and thank you, Mick, for coming and talking to us. Hopefully, we'll get to chat or at least see more of your journey here on the channel soon.
I might be in Camel in a minute, mate. So I don't know if I come in for an interview. God knows what's going to happen there, mate. So I don't know.
Making the best of it, I see.
Yeah.
All right.
So maybe I'll see you again soon.
That was Mick Claridge, who wound up taking an 8th place here today, which is going to round out our interviews and close us out. So big thank you as well to the Grand Prix Legends community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, thanks to the team today, Rob, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. As was mentioned, the next race is going to be at Silverstone, Saturday, August 20th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here, including, as was mentioned, Camel GT is coming up soon at the Charlotte Roval. We have more oval action, but this time we got some right-hand turns included in there. That'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.